thought, Russell, this film were to be looked at by our descendants, like a Dead Sea Scroll in 1,000 years' time, what would you think it's worth telling that generation?
Mind spins in spirals like the card cogito. I think, therefore, but do I even know? Hume said the sun might not rise in the morning. Patterns ain't proof, just habits we adorn. Russell's teapot floating out in the void. Invisible doubts that can't be destroyed. Belief ain't a bird and the skeptic employs. Question the noise, the cosmos ploys. Skeptic's eyes always peeping the fraud. Truth ain't handed down, it's wrestled from the gods. Doubts my temple, my faith is flawed. Think it through twice before I applaud. Induction wobbles like a table with no leg. Hume's knife cuts leave certainty begging. A billion white swans, blowing black renegade. Shatter the mirror, the cracks cascade. Cogito feels strong, but is it really? Thoughts build castles, clouds act silly. Russell's pot spins in the ether so freely. Prove it exists or the claim's too dreamy. Am I the dreamer or the dream in the show? The car wrestled devils, still didn't know. Faith and senses, they play tricks on a low. Truth's a mirage in a desert of woe.
When you are studying any matter or considering any philosophy, ask yourself only what are the facts and what is the truth that the facts bear out. Never let yourself be diverted either by what you wish to believe or by what you think could have beneficent social effects if it were believed. But look only and solely at what are the facts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Skeptic Philosophy. As always, I am your host with the most without a ghost, Roberto. Today is open chat. Anyone and everyone can join. We're just going to do a bit of chatting. Hopefully, we'll be able to keep this open. We've been getting a lot of people scheduled, especially for June. June's already booked up, and we don't have this month booked up for guest yet. We do have Willow will be coming on next Sunday. Willow is from two different channels. I think he runs one channel, or I'm sorry, he's been a little inactive as of lately. Let me see if I can get the information up on here. Here we go. Willow from Inspiring Reflection. He will be on next Sunday, and he has picked the subject of uncertainty. And how we live with uncertainty, that we don't know things in the strictest sense. So he'll be on next Sunday talking about that. We got to get some more people booked inside of this month, though. Unfortunately, it's crazy that next month is completely booked out, and we don't have this month. We don't have many scheduled, but I do have several invites out, and hopefully we'll be getting some responses and figure out who we're going to be having on. But that having been said, we are open chat today. We do the open chat first Sunday of the month, every month, Q&A, try to engage with people inside of the chat more. You never know who you're going to meet, who's going to come in. While I'm waiting on a few people, though, James Apperson is a guest. I'd love to have James back. James would be great to have back. I think he started stepping out of the spotlight a little more, but I don't know. I tell you this, though, BS. Willow, I finally got the reference. Willow he has a channel, and I'll have to put a link on there. He does on Discord that he does this debate game, which I find a very interesting debate game. But he has like these speed rounds of debates, and it picks a weird, wild topic. And then everybody has to steel man kind of that position. They can interpret what the topic is, but we've had some very, very strange and controversial positions that you have to defend, and that lot just lands on you, and you have to defend that position and argue it out against your interlocutor. So I've had some fun over there. It's a game that he is developing, something of a debate game. I've been over there and engaged in those quick debates, two different Saturdays. He runs them on Saturdays on his channel, and they're very interesting for sure. Kurt, good to see you, man. B.S. Lewis, thank you for popping in. Yeah, it's definitely fun. I'll have to send you a link. B.S., I don't remember. I think I have you on Discord. I believe I do. If not, please add me. It's Raven. I think I'm almost positive that I have you on Discord though, but it's Raven5238 on Discord, and I'll send you an invite. Simos came over there and participated in one of the debates. I think, yeah, he got pitted up against me, and I don't remember what the subject was. It was something odd, but very cool game. It was something like, is marijuana damaging for society or something like that. We have some really risky ones that are not for work debates also, but it's very fun, and it's not as if we take these positions. It's just a position that we have to steel man and argue against that position. So very fun stuff. But just some reflections on this month. We have had Mike on twice, because once I did not have one of last month's schedules filled in, and Mike had a serious problem with his computer. So we wound up having him on twice to talk about T.A.G. Let's see, who else did we just have on this past month? And now I have already forgotten that quickly. But we've had a few guests on this past month, and then like I said, June, we have, if you'll check the schedule on that, that's the gentleman, Inspired Reflection. He hasn't been YouTubing for a little bit, but he mentioned once he comes on here that he might start back up the YouTubing. He has two channels. One is the Inspiring Reflection, and the other channel is Deviant Robot. And he talks on all types of subjects, or has in the past. Like I said, he's been fairly inactive in that, but very interesting gentleman I enjoy talking to. Anyone and everyone is welcome for Q&A and or to come in and have conversations. I hope to not stumble through every one of these open Sundays as much as they get going. The reason I want to not book anyone for these open Sundays, and hopefully it stays that way indefinite, is you never know the people that you're going to meet. I was over on Philosober earlier today, talking to a few Christians and talking to Philosober and them. Philosober, if you've never seen Philosober's YouTube channel, he goes throughout the Free for Talk, and he has, and we got Kurt coming in here, but he goes in the Free for Talk, and he invites people to come and talk and defend their position on the God. And it's very interesting to be able to go in there and engage with Christians and Muslims and people of different religion. Hopefully that flow gets going more here. And if not, maybe I'll start messing with Free for Talk a little bit. But Kurt, how goes it, man?
Going well. My internet's been out until about 2 hours ago all weekend, so it's nice to have it back.
Yes, for sure. It's like breath when you're on the internet all the time and you lose it for a little bit. I remember I went doing truck driving and I lost internet for a little bit, and it was just you almost fiend for it.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah,
it was fine though. I got some some reading. I reconnected with my old analog self.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Some of us older folks that has been around and been entertaining our lives before the internet come along, it's not as problematic for us. It's just,
if my son had been here, it would have been a disaster.
Right.
He was not here, so it was just an inconvenience.
Plus now, like even TV is largely it's internet, you know. So
Yep.
I know mine is. I don't have a dish. It's just all on the single.
Yeah, I stream everything.
Yep. So
I stream all the live stuff too. So like I don't have news channels or anything if I don't have internet.
Yep. We have a front room TV that goes, and two kids TVs. This TV in this room goes. Everything goes down when the internet's down. So it's definitely a big deal. But what you been into lately, man? You been into some debates or anything over there in Breakfast Tacos?
My last debate was that one with what's his name, Dragon Fist, Andrew.
Yes.
That's unsatisfying to me.
Yeah, that was right before Taco had a demonetization problem. Yep. He's been he's been working. Yeah, that's been unfortunate. And anybody that ever checks out I think B.S. Lewis even hosted a show to try to do a little bit of fundraising
He
and
did,
awareness.
which
Yeah, yeah,
was
very
awesome.
cool, very
BS,
cool,
good job.
very cool. And if I have any links or anything like that, or if y'all are familiar with um, Breakfast Tacos channel over there, Bloodbath Debates, I encourage you to go over there and give him some support. I think he's got some a private donation link. I don't remember what it's through to
Yeah, I
give
think
him
there's a
some
donation
support.
link for Ko-Fi, and then there's also one for
Yeah.
Streamlabs. But
Yep. Ko-Fi and Streamlabs. But yeah, when you are completely dependent on that for your income, and YouTube pulls the rug out from underneath you, that can be obviously a very taxing and very problematic thing. Then now
Yeah,
you got to get some income
absolutely.
coming in somehow, just to keep the lights on. So I am far from that kind of size, and I may never be that size. I guess I'd like to. I'm not sure that I'd like to. But yeah, I guess it'd be fun to be able to have conversations online, and that be the totality of what supports yourself. That'd be nice.
Yeah, but it's literally more money, more problems, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's always this upkeep. Yeah. Thank you, BS, for putting that in there. That's for tacos from Mega
Yeah,
Bloodbath.
for sure.
Yep.
But I was thinking about the debate game you were just bringing up.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have a topic you want to go on today?
No, none at all. None at all. Completely open.
So I don't know. Have you ever read Schopenhauer on arguments?
No, I've read a little bit of one of Schopenhauer's books, and it was it's a bit much for me, Schopenhauer.
Oh, he's a great writer, but he's a pretty horrible person.
Yeah, I know his reflections on women was pretty rank.
Yeah, I think what he says in his book on argumentation is actually very correct, right? He says that when two people start having an argument, oftentimes neither one of them really knows very much about the topic. And what they're doing is they're using their back and forth within the argument to try to learn more about the topic.
Yeah.
And one thing that's like never really allowed is for one side to go, oh, that totally makes sense. I'm abandoning my position. He says, no, nobody ever does that. What you do is you like realize the other guy's made a devastating blow against your position, and then you just cling to it to try to come up within your mind with something that repairs your position to like make it work, because you think, hey, even though that part of my argument is wrong, maybe there's another thing that I haven't thought about yet that's going to make me right.
Yeah.
And I just see so much of that now all the time. And I guess like with my last debate, I was like consistently bringing up, no, the facts are this, and this. And then he would be like, well, I want to talk about some other thing then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, people have different
maybe we should
investments,
address the fact pattern that you said was one way and is another way. And then like you can come to some like assessment of how that works for you. But no, he wasn't.
Yeah. It's weird.
He wasn't
People have
having
different
that.
investments too, though, it seems, Kurt. I was talking to somebody just a while ago on Phyllis Sober's channel, and he was a Christian that had already been talking with another gentleman in there for quite a while. And I brought up to him that it seems to me that we have two different like goals that we have here, that our goal in large part is that if we don't have any grounded in relationship, any grounding in like an ideological salvation or whatnot, then we're just trying to figure out what the truth is and how to live with that truth. Whereas, and I mentioned to him that it seems to me that you have some type of like emotional connotation, that you have a relationship, and everything that is a truth statement that you're making is making sure that it further secures that relationship or that perceived relationship, and that you don't want to undermine it. So when we say things like, the Bible is non-univocal or something like that, that might get interpreted as a damage to the relationship that they believe that they have with Christ, right? And then their whole goal is around the relationship. It's not particularly about truth. Like truth is not as important to them as the relationship is.
Well, okay. So the way I think about it is, like, let's say that I work at the same office every day, and I go in every day and there's someone there. And then one day I say, wow, that's an ugly shirt. Now, I'm not making a comment about that person in any way by saying that. I'm saying your shirt that you're currently wearing is ugly. Now, it's possible that there's a perfectly benign reason for that. And in fact, he might respond, yeah, I hate it, but it was the only thing that I had that was clean and I had to put it on today. He may respond that way.
Yeah.
But how many people are going to respond that way? Almost none, because I'm not actually commenting on the shirt. I'm commenting on the person who's put on the shirt. And I'm saying underneath what I'm saying, that's an ugly shirt, I'm saying you woke up this morning and put that on and thought that you should go out of the house, right? I'm saying something that's entirely different emotionally than the actual content of my speech. And I think that's what's happening when we're having these debates on religious topics, right? I'm saying your argument makes no sense and your position doesn't comport with the facts. But what they're hearing is you're a moron for trying to like put forward this position that has like no conceptual grounding at all in what people normally use when they talk to one another. And that's taken personally. And of course it goes both ways, right? It's not as if like people who abandon a belief in Jesus all of a sudden lose the ability to feel offended when somebody attacks a belief they hold personally important.
Yeah. So what I have found on that, Kurt, is like the strength of your resolve. Like if you feel, or if you're portraying your argument as like that I'm still man and I'm strong and I have no flexibility, then they're going to in large part mimic that. But if you have a more of a, it's okay, we don't know everything, let's seek out the truth together, a position about you, they more often than not, you'll find that they can meet that demeanor about information and be convinced. But if you just go strong interlocutor with them, still man the position all the way, they're going to do the same thing. They're just going to dig their heels in, because then it's like some competitive thing, whereas, oh, we're just talking kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that like the first person to like put forward an agenda is often the person who like escalates or determines the tone of the conversation. So a lot of people want to be in the like inquisitor role and they want to be able to like give what they get.
Yeah.
But in either case, like at either position, one person can become recalcitrant and like want to stick on a given point that the other person wants to bracket and move on to some other topic.
Yeah. Well, and we have certain like walls that we want to knock down too when we're talking to different people. Like we know that like there's these structural supports that like hold up the majority of their argument, and many times we'll like, and let's get back to this, because we want to keep hammering at that pillar, so to speak, that it's holding up their whole argument, and it's a problematic pillar, right? It's seriously problematic. So a lot of times we want to get back to that, and they want to get off that pillar. Let's move on to another subject. Because to undermine that is to undermine the totality of their worldview.
And I don't know if you've heard my theory on explanation, but in a conversation, the person who's like receiving an explanation can always demand more. Like they can always find some other point at which the explanation is incomplete, because no explanation can ever be complete.
Yep.
So all you're ever expressing when you say, oh, that makes sense, is an aesthetic perception of completeness within yourself. You're not expressing like that there's some fact of the matter that's now been resolved because you accepted an explanation.
Yeah. This is weird around like the subject of like resurrection. And it gets back to what I was talking about, what like the pillars also, that like this is a huge pillar, like this holds up. So anything that undermines that is problematic. But if they say the resurrection happened, I mean, we've seen people, what's his name? Jordan Peterson, when he's pushed on the subject, did the resurrection happen? There's such like a skirtiness about it, but
my goodness, yes.
Right. There's such
what do you mean do?
Yes.
Which, by the way, in English, many uses of the word do are literally meaningless. They are simply grammatical particles to make it sound correct. They don't have any meaning at all.
Yeah, but he winds up getting it to the degree that he's left the structure intact. He's saved face and not looked intellectually, bankrupt. And but he was able to leave the structure intact is it ideological? Did he resurrect in some ideological sense? Is it a transitional state of society? Is it representative of like the change and the rebirth in the people? Like he can leave all of this and still leave intact. We left intact the resurrection. It's still fully there. We didn't look crazy. We didn't look like we were fundamentalists or anything, and we still have it intact. And that's an interesting, I don't know. It's too benign for me. It's too skirting around the subject for me and not being able to be pinned down. But
with the resurrection, like it's always weird to me, the idea of who's going to roll away the stone. Because first of all, the stone is rolled away in Matthew, but Jesus can go through walls, right? In Luke.
Yeah.
So why would he need to worry about the stone, right? Like what is, like the stone is like nothing. And then the other problem then is, are we saying he walked out of the tomb? Like that videotape argument that Alex O'Connor gave to Jordan Peterson was like, if you had a video on the tomb, would you see Jesus walking out? Well, wait a minute. Who and anywhere does it ever say that Jesus walked out of the tomb?
This is true. It never says that.
There's no eyewitness to actually what actually took place at all, even if we give the Gospels like full credit and like they're all telling the best truth that they can.
Yeah.
Like nobody has any idea what actually takes place.
Yeah.
It's like having the Lord of the Rings and just you see Frodo and Sam walking off Mount Doom.
Yeah.
And then everybody has to figure out what happened.
Right. That's good. That's a good analogy. What's weird though is if you go back to texts like Proto-Evangelium of James, when Jesus was born, he didn't come out of the birth canal. Like there was a bright light, exactly. And then the baby was like out of the womb and sitting on Mary or whatnot. If I remember,
no pushing,
correctly.
no
pushing. Right. So this is like it just come forth through the wall.
Exactly. Which means so who cares about the stone?
Like, exactly. Yeah. But I think if you're trying to get some consistency with Mark, like you had the two ladies that went into the tomb is how it reads. At least that's how I interpret it, that they went they saw.
Yeah, I don't see them as inside the tomb. Let me be clear.
Okay.
It's a reverse.
We're talking about the short ending.
Yep, the short ending.
Yep,
it's a reverse of the allegory of the cave. A tomb is a cave. The Neoniskos is inside the cave. He is telling the eternal truth to people in the sunshine outside. Okay. And he tells them the eternal truth from within the cave, and they are in fear and they run away.
But there was something that said that they saw that he was not there or something like that. Or maybe they were just told.
No, not
I'll have to look back.
Not in Mark. In Mark, all he does is tell them that he's gone. And then he's been
right
raised.
Where it's at. It's Mark 16:8. Yeah. Well.
Seven is questionable, right? So Billy Markson is very clear that 14:28 and 16:7 are probably late insertions. So it's 16:6 and 8 that are certain to be in the text.
Right. But it uses the term "and they went out quickly." I don't know if that's a good. That's a KJV. Let me pull it back.
Yeah, I think it could be going out from the cemetery or the.
It could be, but that's why I said it seemed like there was something implied that they were in. But I may be wrong on that. KJV has never been the best of translations on the terminologies.
Yeah, I'm not actually. Where does the NRSV?
I'm pulling that right now. So it says, so they went out and fled from the tomb. That terminology seems like that the tomb is the subject of the sentence, and that they went out and fled from. So,
I mean, my read works whether they went in or not.
Yeah, I agree. It could be either way, but that's why I said I was pretty sure that it had the connotation of, at least it was suggestive of, that they were coming out of the tomb. So this might be why Matthew or others might have said, it was rolled away, because now there's something of a connotation that they're coming out of. So the stone has to be rolled away for them, not for Jesus.
Oh, you're right. No. In 5, they entered a tomb. Yeah. They
entered there you go.
5.
There you go.
So you're correct.
All right, so I think that's where Matthew and them are now. Like the tomb's obviously it's got to be rolled back now. It's not for Jesus. It doesn't need to be rolled back for Jesus. It needs to be rolled back for them, for the continuity. Hizzle, how's it going, man?
Hey,
hey, I wanted to let everybody know it is open chat today, Q&A. Everything is wide open. We're going to, as always, try to keep these Sundays open, see what kind of guests we get trickling in, see if we get some pastors, some preachers, hopefully one day. But yeah, it's an interesting subject. Yeah, I think it's clear if you go with the proto-evangelium, they could go through walls, like already from a baby.
Or Luke, right? I think in Luke, he
Luke
also is able to disguise himself on the road to Emmaus.
Oh, they
and look like someone else, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Again, if you take Luke seriously, the youth sitting in the tomb could literally just be Jesus in like a morph. Like in Witcher, when the witches can appear to be someone else.
Sure. Yeah, it absolutely with Luke. I just think that the proto-evangelium is obviously a little later, and it's the most obvious one of can go through physical matter.
No doubt.
Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. They're already portraying him as being able to go through physical matter.
And in John, like Mary Magdalene, I think, doesn't know who he is originally, which is really weird. Because wasn't she just at the foot of the cross?
Yeah.
Like 3 days before, and then here's the same person. Is this the gardener?
Well, tomato. You see,
is this the gardener? I don't know. Could it be?
You see, if we want this to be non-contradictory, what we'll do is move things around a little bit.
And then the other problem is the Philippians hymn, right? Everybody tries to argue the Philippians hymn is this great thing, but it literally says he doesn't get the name Jesus till he goes back up to sit beside the white throne of glory. So that would mean his entire career on earth, he didn't have the name Jesus.
Right. And in the canonicals, though, well, that would indicate it but I mean, we get this as early as Mark, and we get it in, I think, Matthew. One does that the angel Gabriel came to Joseph, one does that it came to Mary. And I think Mark does Joseph, if I'm not mistaken, but I may be wrong. But
no, I think that's correct.
One does it one way.
And it's not Mark, it's Matthew, you mean. In Matthew, I think all of the visions are to Joseph, and they're not in Nazareth at the time. They're in Bethlehem at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm talking about when the angel comes to him and gives him that you shall call him, and gives this inside of one of the canonical. It gives it in both, but one is telling it to Joseph, and another one's telling this story to Mary. But yeah, this is where we see in the canonicals that the name Jesus is given, and the
name Emmanuel is given, which he never uses.
I'll have to look at the original text. I thought the name of Jesus.
This is the reference to the
Matthew,
the prophecy. Oh yeah, he does tell him to name him Jesus.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But then their prophecy that they use for it is that his name should be Emmanuel.
Yeah. But then this is where we get the oneness religions, I guess Pentecostals and some charismatic religions, and any of the oneness groups. They'll do this argument. I guess even the Mormons do it, really. They'll do this argument that against the Trinity, to say that there was one name given under heaven whereby men must be saved, right? And that name was Jesus, that Jesus said in one text that I have come in my Father's name. So then there's this idea that a new name was given under heaven, that the name of the Father was Jesus, right? And that this was given to the Son, that he's operating in the Father's name. And then they'll use the text that says, and I will send the Comforter in my name, right? So that all of these are the name of Jesus, so that when we get texts like baptize them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost, they can rectify this with Acts 2:38 that says, go baptizing them in the name of Jesus. So they'll say, well, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, that's all three of them are named that. And they'll use the singular and it is true, it is a singular when they say baptizing them in the name, singular, of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And these are titles, not names. So you could say, well, the name could be a singular name and it just be something that goes to all three. I didn't know if you knew about this doctrine, but this is definitely a
very
thing.
Interesting.
It's definitely a thing. So
I was watching something on Gnostic Informant, and he made a point that I looked into, and it's accurate. The word Trinity is really a Latin word that doesn't exist in the Greek. So in the Greek, the word is trias, which is translated as triad. And triad like long pre-exists Christianity as a Platonic term, right? So there's the monad, the dyad, and the triad in Platonic cosmology. So, and Trinity never gets back translated into the Greek. The Greeks don't really use it. They use the word triad, like even in the creeds and stuff. So that to me is like pretty compelling that the Trinity comes from Greek philosophy and not the other way around. Right? Because the term exists in Greek philosophy before the Christians use it. It's only in Latin that it gets its own special word, and that's only by Tertullian, who's writing in the 3rd century. So
I think that the Trinity was something that they had to adopt for the intelligentsia, that was the philosophers of Greece. That they had to adopt it for that. Otherwise, the religion really wasn't going to get off the ground very well. I don't think it's obviously as coherent with the literature that they have. The literature that they have seems to be non-Trinitarian to me. And there's just this flesh, one spirit, one flesh verse, that we have one flesh that is operating with. I think Ephesians said within him the fullness of the Godhead dwelled bodily. So you have a fleshly vessel and a spirit of God that came upon him like a dove, and that he's just operating in the name and in the authority of, is what it seems to be in the text. But I mean,
weirdly, doves don't even have penises. Like they just use cloacal rubbing. Like a lot of birds.
I don't know about all of that, but
you said it came upon him like a dove. And
yeah.
That's going to be cloaca rubbing. That's all that's going to be.
All right. Well, I think one text says it came upon him, and then the other says it descended upon him like a dove.
Oh, okay.
So,
descended is better.
Yeah, descended is better for sure. But Azo, thank you for joining. Ed from the Rabbit Atheist. It is open chat. Anyone and everyone is welcome to poke in if I had anything to say. We try to keep these open on the first Sunday, get anyone and everybody in. But I appreciate y'all joining in on here. But I'm curious what Ed's thoughts are on this Trinity thing, whether he now thinks, because I think he was from a Trinitarian background, and if he's reevaluated that position, whether he still thinks it's kind of biblically supported, or that's just entirely a reinterpolation to try to make the Trinity fit.
Ed? I mean, one of the beauties of the biblical text as we have it is that it'll support anything.
Sure. You can reinterpret.
You can make a great argument for anything because the text is so multiply authored and so multivalent and polysemous.
He mentioned that Matthew was great for kind of post hoc. Yeah, I think Matthew, by most scholars, I think some of them date him as late as 110, but I think the consensus, along with Christians that are, making their pledges and everything else, I think they're closer to 90 is where they date it. But nonetheless, this is still considerably after any time that Jesus was or wasn't. So,
okay, now I'm thinking about Mark, and I'm realizing it's actually a direct parallel still to Plato's cave, because in Plato's cave, the guy goes outside the cave.
You said this earlier that you dig your heels back in the argument.
Well, wait.
No.
No, he sees what's on the outside of the cave. He goes back into the cave and he tells them, and they're like, they don't believe him and they think he's crazy. And then he goes. So it's actually still a reverse mimesis.
Yeah. It's so weird that you just talked about this type of argument, and you're like, well, yeah, I guess they did go into the cave, and then you're like,
and I'm gonna push on it.
Exactly.
I'm not saying I'm immune to what Schopenhauer says people are like.
Sure.
I'm a person just like everybody else.
Absolutely. I just thought it was funny that we've seen it come full circle.
Yeah,
but no,
exactly.
Either way could definitely be true. There's different ways of looking at it. It's not obviously super clear on the subject. But very interesting. Yeah, I think the Trinity. I don't know. It seems like we could like make up a lot of reasons for why they did the Trinity, but I think in large part they were trying to rectify some different text, and like they wanted complete univocality, and there's some of the text that they just didn't know how to rectify it any other way. Plus, they're trying to rectify Old Testament text, which they want to imbue Old Testament text like us, or like when you see in Genesis that let us create man, and they're trying to rectify all this into their framework also. And it just seems like doing the Trinity is an easy way to like, oh, we can make it all univocal. We just have to understand this extra aspect of it. So I'm not sure how much I'm convinced that they're just trying to rectify everything, and how much like, obviously, I think it was big for the intelligentsia of the time in the Greek philosophy to do the Trinity. I believe it was beneficial for them. So maybe they had more than one motivation on it, I guess.
Oh, it was absolutely, though, to be consistent with Greek philosophy. Like Augustine says, you can be a Christian. Sorry, you can be a Christian after having been a Platonist by just changing like the meaning of 3 or 4 words.
Oops, sorry, I had my mic muted. Any particular words?
I forget the exact ones, but like his idea that like Platonists were like uniquely suited to become Christians seems quite correct. I mean, Boethius writes an entire book on the Trinity in the 5th century, and guess how many scripture references he has?
How many?
None. He doesn't mention the Hebrew Bible or the Gospels or the epistles. He just does it all philosophically and explains why the Trinity is necessary from philosophical concepts. So
I don't know what the Hebrew word is, but the Greek word for I is ego. There's this ideal of self. So when in the Septuagint, when they translated the Hebrew, when it says that I am the Lord thy God and I am one, it's using this I. From the Septuagint, it'll be saying ego, but regardless of what the word is in the Hebrew, it's saying I as a self. It's a representative of the personality. So when Trinitarians do this, there's different personages of, I know you've heard this argument, right? So that there's this essence that is God, and then there's this person that is a part of the essences, right? So when he says I, to me, this is clearly a person. The essence is not I. There isn't the I essence, right?
Yeah, my bone marrow and hemoglobin don't talk.
Right. So to me, this is the person saying, I am the Lord thy God and I am one. And this seems just so straightforward. It seems so to be able to get around that and squeak past that little problem and say, no. Look, let me explain why that still doesn't cause a problem. It's just always sounded ridiculous to me.
No, that's why Boethius is so smart, right? If you're going to write a book on the Trinity, don't waste your time trying to figure out what it means inside the books.
Right.
They don't make any sense. Just go from the
start from scratch
the whole way and make it make sense within the philosophy, and then like let people sort out what's going on in the books themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't believe I've seen Fat Burrow. How do you say this name here?
Fat Burrito Cat.
Fat Burrito Cat. Okay, fantastic name. I see the picture now. That's great. Fat Burrito Cat. But yeah, the Trinity is an interesting one, but there's a lot of interesting. He mentioned Matthew earlier, and I seen there's a text in the Gospel of what's the hell is the day? Thomas. I don't know if it's called the Gospel of Thomas, but it's the sayings that go up to saying 4.
Yeah, that's the Gospel of Thomas. Yep.
Right. So one of the texts, and I don't remember which one it is, it says that you cannot ride 2 horses. A man cannot string 2 bows. He cannot ride 2 horses. Right. It's one of the sayings
mirrored in the Gospels when they say a servant cannot serve 2 masters.
Right. Serve 2 masters. But he uses the 2 horses, that man cannot ride 2 horses. And I couldn't help but think of Matthew when he does his interpretation of the event of Jesus riding into the town.
The donkey, yeah.
The donkey and the mule, right? That he's riding. So one text says donkey, one says mule, and then Matthew's like a donkey and a mule. And I
never even thought about that. That's really great.
Right. So I almost feel like the writer of the Gospel of Thomas here is almost like making a poke at Matthew for riding two animals at the same time. It's possible.
Or if you accept Thomasine priority, Matthew is trying to make the Thomas saying like be inverted, right? Showing that if you're God, you can do it.
Right. Maybe. Yeah,
because that would be an anti-Marcionite like view of it, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. But whenever I read that in the Gospel of Thomas, I immediately thought of Matthew with those him riding two animals at the same time. It's the first thing my head went to. But my thought on it originally was that maybe it was a later, some of those, I think they date them. The earliest one dated back to 50.
There's a version of the Gospel of Thomas that's like a smaller number that is like plausibly older than the Gospel.
Right, exactly.
That we have
exactly. But then when you get the Hammurabi library text, you get some of this is dated to be sayings that come along as late as like 200, 250. So a big spread, but some of the individual sayings, they might go back before any of the Gospels, any of the letters, anything. So definitely interesting.
I don't know if you ever watch him, but there's a guy, the Rational for Reed. He makes a bunch of videos about the Gospels. And he had one the other day that was that the Gospel of John is an anti-Gospel of Thomas, like bent to it. And that Thomas isn't a character in the synoptics at all, but that John turns Thomas into this like doubtful, misunderstanding, like buffoonish character, like Mark treats Peter. And I thought that was interesting. I'd never thought about that idea before either. Because think about doubting Thomas is literally the whole modern cultural idea of who Thomas is. But the Gospel of Thomas obviously is very, very different. And the Gospel of Thomas arguably preserves a tradition in which Jesus never dies on the cross, right? It's the living Jesus spoke these words. And there's nothing about death or resurrection in the Gospel of Thomas.
Yeah, it's just sayings. And that's an interesting way to approach it because it cuts out like all of the proclamations supposedly of men. The problem is you're hedging many men's sayings. You're just putting them in. Well, Jesus said this, therefore, you have authority behind the saying, so to speak. But what's interesting about Thomas, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, Thomas, I think it means twin. And I can't remember what
it means twin, and so does Didymus in Greek.
Didymus.
So the guy's Thomas name is Didymus Thomas, so he's twin the twin. Yeah.
So there's this later Gnostic text, and I can't think of the name of it to save my life, but a lady came to Thomas and started talking to him like he was Jesus. And
this is the Acts of Thomas, yes.
Okay, right. Okay, it says...
It's at his wedding. Jesus tries to convince them not to get married because getting married is horrible.
Right. Yeah, so this is an interesting book, but to read this text specifically, it seems obvious that the text is suggesting that Thomas looked just like Jesus did.
Identical twin, absolutely.
Right. And in addition to this, would they call him Thomas Didymus? They call him the twin, right? So there are some that have suggested, and this is a real thing, that people think that Thomas might have been the actual twin of Jesus, and that's why the woman at the well thought that was Jesus when he was talking to her, because that's the only reason you should have gotten them mixed up, right?
So there's another Greco-Roman complex there too, though, because it's a common Greco-Roman like trope that there's a set of twins and one has a god as a father and the other is just a mortal. And then like Castor and Pollux are an example of this. And so they have different trajectories because the one that's the godly one becomes divinized and the other one just lives a normal life. And Romulus and Remus also have like the same pattern, right? So the idea that a God needed a mortal twin brother who could create all kinds of fun confusions is not like a brand new thing in Christianity either.
Sure. That's just an interesting thing, though, because it obviously way later texts that come out, like the Proto-Evangelium of James. This is all completely miraculous and all. I don't know how it would not at all account for Thomas Didymus, but the idea that if he was born, it would also make sense that he would be the doubter. Because the text that Jesus refers to himself as a prophet in, he says that a prophet is not accepted of his own. I don't know if you know what he's not.
And the idea of a brother who's a skeptic is like
right.
throughout the text.
Yeah. So it would make sense that the one person that was like, no, I got to see him myself, would be his twin brother, would say, no, look, look, I know this guy, he's not resurrected. I need to touch his hands. I need to know. So it would make complete sense. But this seems to me like it's very possible that Thomas might have been an actual brother of that actual character, but I don't know.
Come on. Come on, man.
Come on, man. What? If there's a basis in the real character, it's very possible.
There's a basis in the literature. That's all you've got.
Okay. Well, Jesus ben Ananias, maybe he had a twin.
Yeah, maybe he did, but it's beyond our knowing, right? Like, you can't get the biography of Howard Hughes from a comic strip of Iron Man.
I understand that. But if we're talking about a basis of a character, then we're just talking about a twin of whoever the basis was, not that any of the other things were attributed to.
I mean, modern resurrection apologetics falls apart on the idea that Jesus has an identical twin, right? Like, because that's
absolutely
easy, right? He's got an identical twin who just stayed up in Galilee and didn't like have anything, and then he heard that like Jesus is in trouble down in Jerusalem, and he comes down and shows up on Sunday, and people are like, "Oh my God!"
Right.
They've never seen him before. They don't even know him. And
it throws the resurrection out. But I'll tell you what else it does, though, Kurt. It does legitimacy to wanting to put the two together in a singular scene for Thomas to touch his hands, because then you have both of them in the same scene. So you're like, no, these are not the same
couldn't
people.
Have been the imposter.
Right. It couldn't have been. So this is, I mean, I think it's really an interesting theory. It truly is an interesting theory. I wonder if anybody that's fairly deep on the scholarly side has tried to tackle the subject a little more. I wonder if somebody
think Bart Ehrman brought it up in his debate with William Lane Craig, just as like a throwaway, like, here's a simple explanation that doesn't require any miracles. And like, he never went any further with it.
Right.
But like, twinning happens in 1 out of 200 pregnancies. If we're going to say Jesus is just a normal man, apocalyptic prophet, and we don't have to worry about any magic involved in his conception, like, that's literally so within the norm of human possibility and uninteresting.
Absolutely.
And yet it fully explains the entire narrative of the Gospels, except for like Jairus' daughter being raised, Lazarus being raised, all these other dead people coming back to life in Matthew. Like, those things are completely unexplained, but Jesus being resurrected, that's like trivial.
Yeah, you don't need to get to the finish line, though. You just need to understand like the basis of people thinking that a resurrection happened. And if there was a twin, you fully have a completely natural phenomenon that explains like why people thought the resurrection happened when they're seeing the guy that was a twin.
And the Nero Redivivus imposters are even better, like, strong evidence that like you don't need any kind of magic in that era to have people believe that a person who was clearly very dead was raised back to life. Like, this is just a credulous era. Read Lucian, right? Like, Lucian has Christians believing that Peregrinus is the god of all time.
Yeah. Mike answers in atheism. Thanks for stopping in. Hizzle, we got a few people starting to stop in here now. Robin, thanks for stopping in. Y'all are all welcome to come on stage if you like, or anybody.
Yeah, please do.
By all means, pop in and say, hey, we're just shooting the bull today. No set subject. We can go anywhere and everywhere. Going to attempt to keep this going for as long as I can fumble through not having a scheduled guest and just talking to people that come in. But y'all are welcome to join if you like.
Have you seen Mr. Deity's and Paul Gia's videos on Tavo?
Mr. D. I see some apologias, but was it filmed on Apologia? Was it Apologia YouTube video?
Yeah, it was. He's responding to Tavo Sanabre's arguments for like Christianity. Tavo's the owl guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised he even responded to that guy. I've talked to Tavo before. He's actually wanted to come on the channel. I had to shoot him an invite out, and
yeah, I'm doing. And he did a response video to Mr. Deity where he said, Mr. Deity is only addressing my first claim, and I made 10, and here are my other 9 claims. So I'm doing a series on my Substack about the other 9 claims.
I'd love to get him on here. I guess we've conversated somewhere else. I can't remember where it was we conversated. It was either on Skeptic Lou. We talked for a little bit, and he mentioned coming on, or it was on, I guess, OE's channel. I talked to him over one of those channels, I do believe. Yeah,
his argument is based on other people from other religions like Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore that means Jesus is special compared to all the other founders of all the other religions. But like, I haven't done this in any of the Substack posts yet, but like, who hates Confucius? Right? Like, is there anybody who's like seriously interacted with the Confucian tradition and come away with Confucianism asshole? Like, Confucianism sucks. I just don't see anybody who really thinks Confucius is terrible. But this is hardly an argument for Confucianism being true, right?
Yeah. There's the conversation actually reminds me of Justin Martyr and his whole first apology. Where he does.
Justin gets a lot of play in my series.
Yeah.
I like to talk about Justin.
Good.
He's a good person to talk about.
Yeah. His whole thing is like he seems to be justifying that the devil basically copied Jesus in advance on all these things. Because obviously,
I think that's simplistic. I think
yes, that's a very simplistic.
It's what he says. I grant that, but I think what he's really saying is, look, don't persecute us for having wild beliefs. You guys believe all the same sorts of things about the same kinds of stories. He's making a genre parody argument. He's saying, look, you philosophical Greeks like the Stoics and the Epicureans don't think that Hercules literally diverted a river to clean out some shit. You're just using that as a story to explain a philosophical point that you want to make. And that's all we're doing too. We're just doing it better. He's like saying, I get Iron Man versus Batman, but Iron Man may be later than Batman, but Iron Man does it better.
Yeah, maybe.
And if that's what he's saying,
that seems
not great for like, there was definitely a resurrection, right? Now, he does mention the Acts of Pilate, but...
there's a specific one. I think it's after the Acts of Pilate where he's talking about demons misleading or something. I don't know if he uses the term demons.
Demons misleading is in the New Testament. Demons can appear as an angel of light and deceive even the very elect.
Right, but it seems to be that he's suggesting to me that all of these stories are preemptive copies of what he knew was coming. Like the Christ was already coming, and all these are just kind of stealing off of the story.
It's like saying we knew we'd need a superhero, but the Flash and Batman and Iron Man or Batman and Superman were just like precursors to the real one, which was Iron Man.
Yeah, for sure. Robin, how's it going now?
Hey, Robin.
Robin, you got a mic? Your show muted. I'm gonna check your settings while we're talking.
Hey, I had my.
There you go.
Yeah, I was in the settings doing my speakers because my speakers shut off. I had my earbuds in, and I took them off, turned them off, and then it throws me off of my speakers. So, can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you fine. You sound good.
Okay, because like somebody said, my mic last night I had it turned down or something. I've had all kinds of audio issues with this. When I went on the Gretchen stream the other night in that whatever she's using, that tiny URL or whatever, it messed up the microphone on my. It don't even work anymore. I had to get a plug-in mic or whatever. So I have no idea what happened to it. It just stole my mic. broke it, I
Yeah.
guess. I heard
Hey,
you on. Okay, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. What you saying?
Oh, well, I was just going to address this one from Fat Burrito. I think most of your critical scholars will say that the proposition of coming from nothing didn't come about until about 170 AD inside of the Christian religion. In the large part, all of Jewish history and all, they don't believe something come from nothing, that there was pre-existing material that always was, and that God just reshaped that pre-existing material. So while that might be an ideal now in modern Christianity, it didn't exist in Judaism, in the Jewish culture at all. And it wasn't even in the early Christian culture. There's a Greek saying.
Tertullian has a whole book against Hermogenes, where Hermogenes' position was that God created out of pre-existing stuff. Yep. And Tertullian goes off on him saying, no, that's making matter a second God. And that's not possible. God created out of nothing, or he's weaker than the matter.
Yeah, and this is where like this dominated from Tertullian. This is where this become the dominant Christian position that he created from nothing. But I think you'll see from most scholars will look at this and say that, like, even when God moved upon the face of the water was already there. When God created man, he created him from dust, pre-existing material. He created Eve from pre-existing material, from Adam. So it was all material that was already existing. There's no text that shows a creation event from nothing. It's just not there. But that's all I was saying. I just seen that in the comments. What's going on with you, Robin?
Well, I was like, I saw you on Phil's today. You did a good job on Phil's stream. I love Phil's channel. And I heard y'all talk about Yahweh, but I've got something else that I wanted. So like the ancient Yahweh. So I may catch up with you later on that. But I've had a couple people this week that have tried to throw this Jesus is in Genesis argument at me, the typology. Mm-hmm. And like, here we go. You know what I mean? Like they recycle this crap around and around. And like it just makes absolutely no sense to me. Like that even anybody would even think. You know what I mean? But of course, I don't believe that none of it's true. So that's what I guess that makes it more, to me, less likely that Jesus is in the Old Testament. So, so what do y'all?
I would
like.
Hey, Phantom, thanks for stopping in there.
Yeah, I would say that like there's truth to the claim that the narrative of Jesus can be found in the Genesis narrative, in that Joseph is like thrown into the pit and then taken into slavery and thrown in prison, and then he's released and raised to the throne, right? So that's literally the story of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, that gets turned into the base narrative of the Gospels. But like, that's not really saying anything to me. That's just like, yeah, people could read books and like respond to them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's not that Jesus was in those texts. It's that Joseph was in the later text, so to speak. That a part or the essence of the story of Joseph was kind of incorporated into the paradigm of the story of Jesus. But as far as like Jesus as a character being something that was foretold in the text, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. This is just, they want it to be, Jesus in this sense is like Eminem. He is whatever you say he is. If he wasn't, then why would he say he is?
I mean, if I write a story now about 3 little kittens that get chased by a big bad dog, and they build houses to protect themselves, and the first house is weak and the second house is kind of strong but still weak, and then they all hide in the third house from the big dog, that's not proof that like that story actually existed in the 3 Little Pigs. It's just me riffing off the 3 Little Pigs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like what I tried to say was like everybody who wrote the Gospels and wrote the stories of Jesus and stuff had access to these earlier books. I mean,
yeah, that's how you get prophecies in the books, because they could read them.
So, yeah, and what gets me is they still didn't get them right. I mean, they still like screwed
It's
up some of the
true.
prophecies. They had an open book
That's true.
test, and so
No,
like,
but
I
because
think
they couldn't like change history, they couldn't turn him into the king of Israel because he was never the king of Israel on
I know,
any
but
theory,
it seems
right?
like some of them they
Mm.
so missed, and I'm like, like I feel like I could take an open book test over about any subject.
Nothing's the
pretty
matter
much
with me.
that
What's the
they
matter
can
with you?
I mean, I had a physics class where all the tests were open book, and average A scores were 40%. They were that hard.
Oh,
Do you
well,
remember
okay.
what the Greek saying was, Kurt, with the ex nihilo? It was nothing comes from nothing, or something like that. It was
Latin, it's
Greek.
ex nihilo nihil fit, but I don't know what that
That's
would
it.
be
It's
in
Latin. It's
Greek.
Latin. Yeah, that nothing comes from nothing.
That was also a pop hit in the 80s. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Yes, it
You
was.
got to have something.
Hey, you're very cultured. Good. But no, yeah, that was the prevailing theory. All the way up until post Jesus. That was the prevailing theory, that nothing comes from nothing.
But I mean, I thought it was like I hadn't encountered it for a long time, and somebody brought it up. The freak brought it up actually on
Oh, wow.
Gretchen's channel, and then I had another friend who I was kind of mocking the freak for doing it. And then I had another friend who was like, "Oh yeah, well it's true," and I was like, "Huh."
Must be
like,
somebody on TikTok getting a bunch of views for some stupid position. That's my guess.
So where they use it is in John, I think 1:3 or 1:4 is where they generally will use it, where it says, and I don't remember how the KJV says it, but it says about that he created. This was obviously John 1:1 is, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was, and they interpret it as God. I think most modern scholars now will interpret that as divine instead of God. So the Word was divine. And then I think within the next two texts, you get talking about the Logos, says that the Logos, that the world was made through him. And I think the better translation is that it was made through the Logos, as if the Logos was a conduit, not that the Logos made the world, which is how many Christians try to interpret that. And I believe the ESV interprets it that way. But rather that it was through the Logos, which was seen as from the Greeks as this set of order, this structure or set of order.
Heraclitus is very clear on that.
But
unlike
this is
Plato,
where they get
who
it.
says, "Let no one be ignorant of geometry" at the academy.
They use the term "all things," so they say that all things were created through him, or through the Logos, right? So then the Christians take this position that all things didn't
Philo
exist
says exactly
before.
the same thing.
Philo
says the Logos was the agent of creation.
Right. But that's not the same thing, though. It's not the same thing, because they're still saying that God created it, the Father created it through the Logos. That
Using
it was just
the Logos,
a conduit.
right? The Logos is the tool, correct?
Right.
Yeah, and that goes back to the Hermetic Trinity in Egyptian thought, where Ptah had a tongue, and the tongue was what created the immanent world that we inhabit. And Ptah is like the forger.
Golden Arm too, not the freak. It was Golden Arm. I'm sorry.
Oh well, that doesn't upgrade.
It doesn't upgrade.
Doesn't upgrade the argument.
I know. I agree, but I didn't want. I accused the freak of a lot of shit, so I don't want to accuse him of something he actually didn't do. So I do give him a hard time. But I have this book. I'm gonna show you. I got this book that I ordered, and I cannot remember if somebody recommended it.
Yes, it's a fantastic book by Israel Finkelstein. I highly recommend that book, but it's like reverse text with the way it's going.
I haven't started reading it yet, and I don't remember who recommended it. I've had it for a while, and I don't.
I hope it was me. I hope it was me, because I do recommend that book.
It might have been, but I'm thinking I've had it for probably as long as I've known you. So I don't know.
I strongly recommend reading it, though.
Okay, good. But I was hoping that maybe it would help me kind of decipher this a way to argue against that Jesus and
Well, it won't help you much with Jesus, but it'll get you over the Exodus completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I figure it would help me though, like because I was just trying to make the argument of it didn't make sense for Jesus to be in these books if you knew the sources of where
Later, D-man.
where where these books came from, like when they were written.
Oh, absolutely.
I was trying to explain like the how they were divided, the northern and the southern kingdom a little bit, and
Yep.
and how they needed to unify the people, and so they were trying to give them a common narrative, and wasn't one of the kingdoms still like had many gods or more than one? Wasn't like
The best, like, I don't know if you've read too much on this, but the best scholarly evidence that I can tell is that there was at minimum like henotheism with multiple gods until the Babylonian exile. And there was worship of like Asherah and Yahweh together throughout the monarchic period, all the way down to Josiah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like I've watched some like stuff on that.
The cult centralization that happened during Josiah, which is largely covered in Deuteronomy. That's where I think we got. I still don't think, and I know the guy that we talked about last time with when we did the subject on Yahweh, that he takes the position that this is when after Deuteronomy or during Deuteronomy, I guess, is when we first get the unified God, that there's a singular. But I've seen other scholars, and Dan McClellan's argued it very well himself, that this happened all the way up to the New Testament, that we had multiple gods that were believed in, and that even in the Jewish people might have had tinges of other gods still skirting around inside of that religion.
Well, yeah, I mean, the divine beings anyway. Certainly there's a monarchical deity within like Hebrew text going all the way back, right? There's El Elyon, who's God the Most High. But there's like definitely subordinate beings. You can't read the book of Job without seeing there being subordinate divine beings. Enoch, the book of Enoch is loaded with subordinate divine beings who have their own agendas and their own goals. So yeah, I just think I would argue that Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholicism and most Protestants still aren't monotheists, because Satan is a divine being who has like a different separate existence from the existence of God.
Yes, and they turned like these beings that were once like maybe gods or whatever in other traditions or earlier in these traditions into just demons now and things. Like, to me it seems like like they took these other gods and stuff and turned them into Satan and demons and things. And they were once like many of them were once worshipped as gods, sort of side by side.
Yeah, there's this text in the fire in the Meshach and Abednego. I forget the other gentleman's name.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Meshach. Yeah. So in the fire,
your dad didn't say Shadrach, Meshach, and to bed we go, obviously.
To bed we go. No. So in this text, if I'm not mistaken, the word that is used here, that many as translated as an angel, I think it's one of the uses of the Elohim it's believed to be as a plural sense.
Right.
So it's thought that and this is why some people argue that this was Jesus, because they're saying, that it was God in the fire. Well, it was an Elohim. It was something of a divine person or character. This is why
it was Satan appearing as an angel of light to deceive the three boys in the fire, obviously, right?
Yeah, Elohim, isn't that El?
Yes.
Yeah, my view of it being Satan is not canonical or
no, it's not
orthodox.
No, but it is. It's definitely some kind of supernatural being, and this gets back to the idea that like the angels, there's two different texts that they'll use the term messenger a lot in the New Testament, and we had this in the Old Testament sometimes.
Yeah, the angel of the Lord.
Messenger. Right, the angel of the Lord. But every time you see in the Old Testament, if you're reading the Old Testament, it says the angel of the Lord, then the word that it used was for messenger. Whereas if it used the Elohim, like then, or if it just says of the angel and it doesn't say of the Lord, it's very possible that the original text said Elohim, that it was just a spiritual being that now they interpret as it was an angel. But the reason that they said angel of the Lord is because if you're just using the word messenger, it could be a messenger of a king or some other royalty or whatnot. So in a lot of those angel ones where it says messenger, they'll properly describe it as the angel of the Lord because it just really means messenger.
Have you ever read Margaret Barker on the Two Powers in Heaven?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, she has a whole thing about how there's a separate God within the Hebrew scriptures who's not, the top God, but is a subordinate God.
Yeah. Well, we have this in one of the texts that about I think it's in Proverbs, where the land being divided up. Maybe it's in Psalms.
No, and there's also one in Deuteronomy in the Song of Moses.
Okay. I think the one I'm thinking about, I think it's in Psalms though, but it's the divine council.
There's a psalm that uses the same type of narrative. I think so. Yes.
Yeah. And it's basically saying that he should rise up and take the authority of all of the different lands that he is, worthy to be ruler over all the lands. But that it talks about, this is where we get this children of God text that has now been translated as Israel. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's the text.
Yeah, that's the Deuteronomy. That's the Deuteronomy
okay.
Song of Moses section, where in the LXX and in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it says the sons of the gods, like the children of God. Yeah. And in the Masoretic text, it says the children of Israel.
Yeah. This is
that's one thing that the people that were trying to put shoehorn Jesus into the Old Testament. One of them was trying to, there's many times in the Old Testament where the story is referring to Israel. You know what I mean? Like like the parable or the story or whatever is referring to the people of Israel. And this person was trying to make the nation of Israel or the Hebrew people into Jesus, like that. It was not supposed to be representing that group of people.
That's a different text, but I know what you're talking about.
That's the suffering servant passage.
That's the suffering servant in Isaiah 53.
Yeah. And another thing,
but this
is Job. Satan is in the book of Job or whatever. And he's so.
Yeah, but he's a wholly owned subsidiary of God in Job.
Yeah, and he's so not an adversary. You know what I mean? Like,
let's pause for a moment, and introduce Ed here. Ed from Rabid Atheist. How's it going, man?
It's going fine. I'm just waking up and getting something to eat, taking a shower, and I'm starting to hear people talk about the historicity of Jesus, and it's always fun.
Yeah,
sure. It's kind of my topic.
Yeah, was you here for the twin talk?
No, all the twins of Thomas.
Yeah.
That's an interesting theory. The thing about the Gospels is, I now have so many theories about how they're literally, developed from a literary point of view, and one of the things in chat was, a lot of scholars believe that Jesus was a historical person. That depends on who you talk to and which scholars you're talking about. The ones that have to sign a statement of faith that says that Jesus is a historical person, they're all in. Because their jobs depend on
it. Their paycheck depends on it.
But Richard Carrier has a list of 47 PhD historians that don't believe that Jesus was a real person, and they give good reasons. So, and I can see it. Jesus could be Christianity's version of Hercules.
Yeah, I can see it go both ways.
I don't think it's actually that useful of a question, right? The question is, what's the genre of the documents?
No, not really.
The genre of the documents is all
Yeah.
that matters, because nobody's going to say that The Watchmen is a good way to figure out what happened with Richard Nixon. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter whether Richard Nixon is real or
Yep,
not.
correct.
It matters what is the genre of The Watchmen. So the question of the genre of the Gospels matters much more than the history or lack thereof behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, to you and me, that may be so, but to theists, it's a big
Well, I mean,
question for
just
them, and they
yeah.
take it very personally.
Yeah, I think it would
They
be
do. They take it
important.
very personally that you even they take it very personally that you even
Sure,
question
yeah, I know.
that. And so, like, and so it's like you have to address the
But
question.
Ed, are you familiar
So,
with like the Harold Lloyd and Superman relationship?
I think I've heard of it, but yeah.
Yeah, so
remind me
Harold Lloyd is
briefly.
this famous actor in Hollywood.
Mhm.
And in his movies, he's always wearing black horn rimmed glasses.
Okay.
And so in the movies, he's like this global figure. Everybody knows who he is. He's like this amazing big celebrity. And if he puts on his horn rimmed glasses and walks through LA, he gets mobbed. But all he has to do is take them off, and nobody even knows who he is, because
Right.
they know him as the character. They don't actually see the rest of his face once his glasses are off. So that's a real thing that really happened and was known by the authors of Superman.
Yep.
And therefore, to the degree that that's a true thing that really was the case that existed on Earth, does that then make Superman have like a real historical existence as Harold Lloyd? I don't know.
Yeah.
Does
yeah.
it?
But Kurt,
Yeah.
Kurt,
We get it. We get it.
if Superman's name wasn't Clark, though it was Harold, could we say in some sense that Harold was a real man?
Yeah, but what does it what does it
I
matter
know,
that he has
I know,
a different
I know.
name, right? If I wrote a novel about a president who got assassinated in 1963 whose name was Ron Wenedy, would that all of a sudden
Right,
now mean that like has no relationship?
Here's where I wanted to make the point on it. Many people, and even some people that have come in this chat, have suggested that Paul wasn't a real person. But here's the thing: what does that mean in the context of one of the writers that wrote it? That we think there was a singular writer that wrote half of these that we call the uncontested books of Paul. This person is just a person that identifies himself in all the letters as Paul. So what does it even mean to say that there's not a Paul that exists when what we have is a guy that we know that by literary comparison that he's the one that wrote several of these letters, and he calls himself in every letter Paul, right? So what does it even mean to say there wasn't a Paul? Who cares if the guy's name was actually Ron, identifying himself as Paul? This is this is like the ontology of Paul.
Right. Richard Bachman wrote books, but Richard Bachman is Stephen King. So it doesn't matter.
Do we not have any other sources for Paul, though? I was thinking that there was some other, like, I don't know why.
No, it's weird. I was just doing
No,
a thing on,
that's why the
on
question
second century
exists.
apologists. So second century apologists are weird. They'll quote lines that we know from the epistles. They'll quote them, but they never mention Paul. They never mention that he started churches. They never mention that he wrote any letters.
Yep.
They like second century apologies don't discuss. Clement's not an apology. No, Clement is not an apology.
He's not an apology, but he talks
I'm saying
about Paul.
the apologists, the people who are trying to convert people to Christianity, don't mention Paul at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but Clement
Even
mentions
Irenaeus,
Paul.
who's like again,
Clement
there are people who take First Clement as being quite a bit later than 90 CE. But let's bracket that, because he's writing the Corinthians. He's writing within the frame, right? These people who are writing the apologetics outside the frame never mention it. And there's a bunch of them. Like there's Aristides, Athenagoras, Tatian, Justin doesn't mention
Saul?
Paul, quotes him, but he doesn't mention him.
Yeah,
What about Saul? Is he ever mentioned?
No, they don't mention
Saul?
anything about the story.
No,
They don't mention any
Saul
of
of
it.
Tarsus is never mentioned.
Saul of Tarsus is like only mentioned in Acts.
Acts, yep.
Yeah, that's the only place he appears. That's why the whole question exists of whether Paul was a real person, is because there's some definitely shady stuff. Like, who is this guy that's writing these epistles becomes a question. So, like,
Well, in the Acts, Paul never writes a letter.
no, he doesn't. He doesn't.
He
do
never
an
writes a
act.
single letter. Nobody ever reads any books, any letters from him at all. He doesn't. You never know he could even write.
Which would have been great proof. Well, what other than Acts is purely for the Bible tells you so, but it would have been great proof that he wrote letters. If I watched Paul write this letter to the Corinthians. I watched Paul,
Yeah.
If it would have been there, it would have been great proof for it. But God never really seems to think of what would be great proof for stuff later. Like he just kind of wings it. So
yeah, hey,
it's not as bad as James and Jude failing to mention that the God of the universe was their brother.
Right.
yes,
well,
yes, that's
and that's how the Catholics rectify that it wasn't literally the brother. But anyway,
he was their stepbrother, and they still didn't mention that.
Right. Well,
like he was the God of the universe, so we couldn't be biologically related. But I did grow up in his house.
We like Jesus, but he's that part of the family we don't talk about. We just
we don't talk about it because now we've renamed Thomas Jesus, and it's a really iffy subject.
We don't talk about. We know we don't.
But they never mentioned his twin brother either. Yeah, that's weird.
So yeah, like God never seems to think about how things are going to be looked at in the future and what criticisms they're going to have, and doesn't answer it. So it's like,
what I find more interesting than all of this is there's no text that mentions an original autographic text. Like there's this in the Chicago Convention, they do it in Article 10. A bunch of evangelicals come along and say that their original proclamation of inerrancy is that the original autographic texts are inerrant. But when you look at like all of the different early church fathers talk about this, they use the terms as it was passed down to us, as we received it. There is no text where anyone ever mentions an original letter of Paul, an original of the Gospels. There's
well, in the text though, he says, "See how I'm writing with these big letters," which is a reference to the autograph. But like, I'll go further. Paul himself, is kind of proof that the original text couldn't have been inerrant, because Paul distinguishes between words he gets from the Lord and words that only come from him.
He does.
So if he's going to know the difference between what he's inspired to write and what's just his opinion, and that gets into Scripture, does it then all of a sudden mean that he was lying?
Yeah, then it means he was lying. He does that in 1 Corinthians 7, where he's talking about marriage. It says, "I don't have a commandment from the Lord here.
I would rather you."
I'd rather you did. Yeah, like he doesn't.
Yep.
So at that point, Paul's saying, "This isn't a commandment from God, but it's my advice,"
right,
kind of thing.
Well,
and
on the road to Damascus, did Paul hear God? Did he hear Jesus, or was it just the light? Like, does he sound?
How would he know what Jesus sounded like?
Right. Hold on. I can fully address this. There's Acts 5 has one story and Acts 9 has another story. And these are just a few chapters apart. One of them says that he saw the light, but those that were with him did not hear the voice, but they saw the light. And another one says, well, I think in both texts, it indicates that Paul saw and heard of the Lord, but the other people. Yeah, the other people
better than
with
seeing
them.
A sign, because if you see the
there's
sign,
there's a contradiction in the late part of Acts about, Paul tells a story once people saw the thing but didn't hear anything, and then he tells it again to another person, and it's like they heard but they didn't see anything. Like he contradicts himself in the two stories that he tells to these different people. So.
Well, people with temporal lobe epilepsy do have events like this. No, I mean, no. Like, let's be very clear.
I'm trying to be charitable to Paul. I really am.
It's a real thing that really does happen to people. It's not unheard of.
Paul
describes that he has like this physical infirmity.
I was just wondering,
that's a common thing.
I was just wondering, like, when he later makes claims that that he got these commandments from God. If he didn't hear God in the first, when he revealed himself or whatever, then would he know it was later? Is like, Like,
we don't know. All that is said is that I never received it of man, nor was I taught it of man, but of Christ.
It's a good question to ask anybody that's saying they're hearing from God. How do you know it's God? Like how? I mean, it's a real. Yeah, it's just one of those good questions to ask. And
I don't know about you, Ed, but back when I was a believer, people would tell me they got messages from God all the time, and I uniformly thought they were bullshit.
Well, I was.
I
a
never once thought,
Pentecostal,
oh wow,
so-
that's really coming from God.
But
So
even the Bible says that you will be deceived, right? Or like the devil.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, talk about church fights inside the church, inside a Pentecostal church, who's really hearing from God and who isn't. Come on, that's an underlying narrative in every Pentecostal church I've ever been a part of. Like, which of these people is really hearing from God and which is not? Or some of them are deceived by devils, some of them got misinformation, some of them is their own head. But I have the real word of the Lord. Just listen to me.
Of course.
Like, that is an absolute underlying fight inside of Christianity, particularly Pentecostal churches. Like, it's
Just watch Mike Winger videos. It's so hilarious. No, God really is working in the church, but everybody at the top of the church is a charlatan who's
And a
scamming
fraud,
people and
yes,
stealing their
yes.
money. But but there's really a God.
There's really a God. There really is. Hey, Simon.
Hello.
Simos, what's happening, man?
Yeah, it's all good, man. Just saw you on, so I thought I'd come by and say hi.
Well,
Good
I
to see you,
appreciate you
Simos.
stopping in.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too. So don't let me stop the chat, because otherwise you'll lose the thread.
Oh, we've done.
Well, have
done
you
it.
seen
done
these
broke
Mike
it.
Winger expose of all these charismatic Christians who are scamming people for money and having horrible scandals about their sexual behavior?
But God is real, and I'm not scamming you.
Yeah.
I'm not scamming.
I'm
Mike
not a
Winger isn't
grifter.
scamming anybody.
Everybody
He called out Greg
Everybody else is a
Locke
grifter.
because apparently Greg Locke accused Kenneth Copeland and Joel Osteen of terrific impropriety years
boy.
back, and now he's completely stopped doing it. And so he's saying, look, you said you had proof and you said you had documents that you could expose them with, and they've never come out, but that means you're letting them continue to abuse people. So you need to put up or shut up, dude.
Okay.
I just say I used to fuel my truck in the town where Greg Locke's original church was, which he's moved it now. But yeah, and I used to go in the women's bathroom all the time when I would stop there, because I fueled there every night when I come from Murfreesboro, and there would be chick tracks in the women's bathroom stalls. And look,
Wow.
my
Were they against witchcraft?
my value,
Yeah, probably.
my contribution to society was to go to every bathroom stall and steal the chick tracks out of the bathroom stalls.
Well done, Robin.
And I would would feel like I had done something so good. I did that. I'd be getting them all
I
out
loved
there.
the chick tracks when I was growing up, though. I loved those things. They were the most interesting thing I ever read at church.
Yeah, pretty much. That's saying something, though.
Yeah.
Not the Bible, the tracks. The tracks were the most interesting at the church.
I loved how he would have a kid go to a rock concert and
away
then
a lot
die
of
and
it.
go directly to hell. It was awesome.
Well, there was always death in there somewhere, because you got to do.
You always
the
died and
spiel,
ended up in hell.
and up in hell, burning instead of heaven. So you got to do that.
And my
Every
first
Catholic
concert
is
was
straight going to
Ozzy.
hell
So,
too. So
Oh, you went straight to hell if you died after that concert, right?
yeah, you're dead.
yeah, that was my first concert. Yeah, I should have went to hell for sure for that one.
And damn, if you listen to Slayer.
So I'm catching up. So I've realised now who Pastor Greg Locke, I take it you mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bible Vision Church, yeah. Locke Media, GV Press, host of Sky Red News,
Yep.
is founder of the Bible Experience Museum.
Yep.
He's not a grifter, clearly.
No, not at all.
He had a book burning. He had a book burning.
What I liked most was I challenged Mike Winger to a live sit down.
Uh-oh.
So I mean that's raising
As opposed to a dead one.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
yeah.
as opposed to a stand up and get nailed to the cross one, I guess. But
He had a book burning, a big book burning, and they burnt his members brought copies of I Dream of Jeannie, and they burned them.
Oh right, did
Because
they know?
He was on the witchcraft thing at that time. He was calling out witchcraft.
God.
Did they learn?
Jeannie was
his
Jay.
Did they learn nothing from the Beatles?
I don't know.
Just made
His
it more
floor,
popular. They're going to
he
bring
had
back.
he had sawdust on the floor because he had a big tent because his church blew away through a tornado. So he used like
So
a
he just burned the
circus
church
tent.
down.
And he had like
That's hilarious.
sawdust on there, and he called out some of his members for being witches, and it upset actual people who.
I even got a phone number for one of you.
Yeah, it upset people so bad that actually consider themselves witches that they started going to his church and hiding tarot cards and pentagrams and stuff under the sawdust. And
I
this
hate to
man-
say it.
Yeah,
If I
he
lived
lost his mind
nearby,
over that.
if I
He
lived
lost
nearby
his
his church, I would have so much fun putting shit in the bathroom. Oh my god.
Yes.
Not chick tracks, you mean?
No.
Lipstick pentagrams.
Yeah, no crap.
You know,
Right
they
on
worn
the,
off.
on the men's bathroom wall, put a lipstick pentagram because that'll lead to a whole bunch of shit right there.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
we're going to go. Guys standing outside the church with AR-15s, like when you go
Oh my
in.
God.
So it's not
Oh, God.
not really a comfortable
It's not
place to go
safe.
in there thinking
Huh?
you're
It's
going
not
in there to
safe.
do something. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a proper
Like a
Southern
Public
church,
Enemy concert, or
proper Southern church. That is with guns outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Dade is asking, has anyone heard of a proper, coherent description of what God is, like what it's made of?
he's made of nothing.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Have you?
Neil deGrasse Tyson says God is ever received in scientific ignorance.
There you go. Yeah, I
Yeah, it's made
remember
of
the
nothing.
interview when he
I can
taught
buy
that.
that one. I can buy that one.
Yeah, but I will say that many of your theologians will argue that God is made out of an essence that all things in the universe are made out of. They're made out of everything that we call matter is going to be made out of the essence of what is God. It's just transformed into something more corruptible.
The word essence comes from something that you would distill a product down to and then
Correct.
extract, which was made of material. And the Platonic soul was also made of a rarefied material. This idea that it's made of nothing doesn't show up until like the 3rd or 4th century.
Yeah, they thought they had physicality to it. We have this even as late as the doctor that said that the 21 grams was the weight of the soul.
The weight of the soul.
Right.
That's a funny one.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
But I mean, that's physicality. That it has to have physicality to have a weight for the soul. So,
Oh man, the shit people.
I mean, everybody does have souls and they do have weight. It's just the skin on the bottom of your feet.
right.
Oh, yeah,
It's spelled
yeah,
slightly
pretty much.
different.
But yeah, I don't know. When I was doing theology, I entertained so many different things of what the essence of God was, and in the end, you just throw out the mystery card and walk away. So,
Well, if he's immaterial, he's not made of anything. That seems like
yeah. So we don't know. So throw out the mystery card, throw it on the table, walk away.
God is the invisible things that are clearly seen. Okay, that's just the best definition.
Yes, that's
anything that you can see
Robert,
that
you know it.
is invisible. Things that you see that are invisible. Those are the things that.
That's
Well, this gets into the designed one, right?
You can use instruments to detect invisible things quite easily, but they have regularity and are observable and predictable.
But
the observable,
Kurt,
predictable part that's missing.
When they did this about designed, and they say that that the universe appears designed, or that it couldn't come about without a design, or they do the whole watchmaker argument, or however they want to frame it. I'm always curious to ask, what does it look like to not be designed? What is it that not designed looks like? And there's this, well, all things are designed, God made all. So then you don't even have a distinction, right? You don't even have a distinction of the things that aren't.
You don't even have a distinction in the first place. So
I was having this exact argument once, and I said, if a proton is designed, then literally there's no way to tell if anything is designed, because everything's made of protons, and if protons are designed, then everything is designed, and then you've collapsed the distinction completely.
Yeah.
Well,
What was the rock and roll band description of what God was?
Unfalsifiably.
What was it was that God is the
Use a
name-
slob on the bus.
No. There was a one from a rock band
I
that
remember
the
that
guy
one.
wrote it. That God is the name that we give the mystery, or it's the cloak that we. I don't know what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
okay, yeah.
You
So
know which
God
one
is
I'm talking about?
Simon might
yeah,
know.
kind of. It's something like God is the mystery we hang our blanket over, or something like that. The shape of the blanket we
Shape of
hang
the
up.
blanket.
Yeah, some blanket analogy. I just tried to look that up and I couldn't find it because that was the first thing that came to mind. But I am reminded of the Zappa song, all right, when he says something like humans are a little bit dumb. Humans are basically dumb. So if we're made in God's image, then God is dumb and maybe even a little ugly on the side.
I got it. I
Yeah,
found it.
so
You found
It's
it?
God. God is the name of the blanket we throw over the mystery to
Mystery.
give it shape.
That's
There
it.
you go.
Yeah.
That's the best definition that I've heard.
Well,
Human action.
Description.
definition, I'd say.
Human action.
Yeah,
Right? It's
it's
poetry.
poetic.
Say
Sure.
well, have you guys like examined this monarchical Trinitarianism from Joshua
Let me
Sijuade at
just.
all?
Trinitarian.
In his view, like the Godhead is like the SS Minnow, and God the Father is the skipper, but then God the Son would be the Gilligan, and the Minnow would be the spirit that like gets the movement throughout. And
Until it crashes on the island and just sits there.
yeah, right. Well, the island is like the demiurge's creation of the universe, right? And
Well, there we go.
and then we're
I don't know,
trapped and we
kinda-
have to try to find our way back to Hawaii, right?
Is it bad that actually makes more sense than the actual doctrine of the Trinity?
I mean, again, they're three things, but they're all in one thing, right? The
what was
minnow is like everything that's carried.
I've heard so many people try to describe this. I think the funniest one that I thought was interesting was Mike Warnke's description of the Trinity, where he likened it to cherry pie properly made, like the inside.
Warren's version of that song, or
Mike? Yeah, no, it's Mike Warnke. He's a Christian comedian.
Oh, because Warren had a song called "Cherry Pie" that was about underage.
Yeah, but he wasn't doing that. Maybe he was. I don't know.
You don't want to say.
He got caught for lying. So, but he likened it to cherry pie. You have the outside filling cut into three pieces, but the filling, if it's properly done, is going to be all one filling, all one essence. And that's how it
tastes so good, brings a tear to your eye. Sweet cherry pie.
Correct. Yes. So, but yeah, that was the most interesting one I ever heard. Of course, there's always the water has three forms, solid, liquid, gaseous. So, but it's all the same water, H2O. That's another one.
Maybe that song was calling him out, Kurt.
It could have been.
Warren was going after Warnke.
Yeah, it could be. Warnke just got in so much trouble with his own Christian brother, and nobody else had to go after him. So he's just basically making up stories, so calling them true, kind of like the Gospels. So probably got his inspiration from the Gospels. Tell a story well enough, people believe it.
Yeah, the point I try to make about like the gospel narrative is like the historicity question just doesn't matter, right? Haile Selassie is unquestionably a real person. He genuinely existed. But if you read Rastafarian propaganda, you're not going to learn anything about the real Haile Selassie.
Sure.
You're going to learn about
I got
the Rastafarians.
Yeah, I got it. When I'm dealing with people that are deconverting, the historicity of Jesus actually is a question for them too, because if they're coming out of their faith, it's something that they wrestle with. Like if Jesus was a real person, who really was he, and all that stuff, and they wrestle with that question. Okay, as they're coming out, so it's from a experiential point of view, it's still an important question to a lot of people.
Yeah,
But I get the academic part. Like I don't care about the academic part of whether Jesus was a real person or not.
I don't use the term even. I hate the term, was Jesus a real person? I say, was he based on a real person? Because when you're saying a real person, what the hell does that mean? If you're taking every little bit apart that we know is just layers of interpolation that got laid over, then what does it even mean to ask, was he a real person? I say, he was likely based on a real person, probably fairly loosely.
Yeah, well, or real persons, because one of the
Yes,
theories is,
Yep,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
like one of those
Well, for
theories
certain
is,
real persons, in the sense that, like, to the degree that he's drawing from existing tropes, there's always going to be more than one. Even if the author has a single person in mind, he's going to use his experience with other people to inform the character.
Yeah, like I tell people that scene in Monty Python where you have all, you know, in The Life of Brian, where you have all these messianic figures lined up talking.
Yeah.
That's more truth than fiction, because that was what was going on. Everybody was claiming to be the Messiah, and it's very possible that whoever created this character,
and there will be smaller things that they will place in the larger things.
One of my favorite scenes. One of my favorite scenes.
Just so good.
I can't remember.
That's Michael Palin, I think.
The name of the scene as well is really funny. But he goes, there will come a time when somebody will have lost something that they didn't know where it is. that they only put there the night before, and they'll ask around, and nobody will know where it is.
That's Michael Palin, but Michael Palin is the genius in the film when he's Pontius Pilate. That's literally the scene that I almost pee myself when I watch it every time.
It's hilarious.
So what do y'all think
so
of
many
Does anybody else have anything particularly humorous about the
watch
name?
the movie as Christians? What did you think of it, Ed, when you were a Christian? Did you watch it?
You know, the funny thing is, I don't know. I started like intellectually deconverting after seminary, so I could see the humor in it, and I laughed about it. My friends were into Monty Python that I hung out with, so we watched them all. You know, Holy Grail, all that stuff, and
I never saw them all.
I watched it as a Christian.
I
saw it as a parody of bad Christianity, and thought that
you could look at
making
it
a
way,
reference to like the
absolutely.
good Jesus who's off screen.
Yeah, like this is one of the other false messiahs, and we're having fun with that. I guess you could look at it that way too. So, but I never had a problem with it.
I thought it was absolutely a brilliant takedown of apologetics.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's beautiful. It's beautiful now that I look at it now.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
The cheesemakers. Well, obviously it's not literally the cheesemakers. It could be any kind of dairy product, you know.
It's a sign that we are to forget about the things of the body and worry about the things of the head and face.
Yeah. Now, fuck off. Yeah, it is brilliant. It is a brilliant film.
And the primary enemy, we must never forget our primary enemy. The Romans? No! The Judean People's Front!
Judean People's Front.
There's just so many good bits. And I really like there's like Spike Milligan's, one of Spike Milligan's last performances in there as well.
Yeah, it's a great.
When I read the first time, when I read Josephus's The Antiquities of the Jews, whenever I was first reading about the description of Benanias, when they beat him, right? When he was talking about that they beat him and that his back bled or something like that, it said in Josephus's, and that they wanted him to say something. I can't remember what it was. But this, as soon as I read this, I was like, this is a character named Jesus, right? That Josephus is talking about. They're talking about beating him, right? And everything and even before that, several chapters before, it talks about the priest Joseph and Jesus, right? Joseph is Jesus, the priest.
Yeah.
And when I first read this, I was like, dude, this has got to be some kind of parallel of Jesus. This has got to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that multiple people is likely the greater, more possible.
Definitely.
Yeah, and the Philippians hymn, literally is just a retelling of Zechariah 3 in like a reverse order, right? Like in Zechariah 3, there's a character named Jesus who like has these filthy robes on, and then he keeps getting better and better clothing and becoming more and more close to God.
Yeah, we talked about this. That's a good one.
And so that's all long before any of this story. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 is before the story. So they're using multiple streams to create, never cross the streams, I suppose. But
Yeah, I think Eusebius has seen some of this whenever he was doing his defense that we talked about, that it's okay to tell stories with, he wasn't outright saying that we're lying.
He gets it from Plato.
Right. But he's defending this position completely from Plato, that it's okay that we create a reality in the narrative, And so I feel like Eusebius kind of is already seeing that there's some of this emergent character that's being created in Jesus.
The stories that must have been going around, like, you really get this idea that everybody had their own version of Jesus, and the gospel writers had a fit trying to put it all together and make it make sense.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why they're so weird.
The canonical gospels are a tiny subset of the total gospel production, right? So the total
others.
quantity of gospels is much larger than the canonical gospels. And when we look at the non-canonical gospels, like, they were not they're not people who are like, I'm worried someone's going to fact check me on this, and I need to make sure I have my ducks in a row so that I can back this up. No, they write whatever they feel like with no fear of being contradicted.
Yeah, definitely true.
Yeah, Robin Dade was wanting to know what's the last book that you read.
The last book I read?
Yeah. Dade's on a book reading spree lately.
Oh, well, I just showed my book here, this Bible on Earth. I haven't read it yet, but
presently
probably my next one, The Bible on Earth by Finkelstein and Silverman, and Kurt highly recommends it.
Yep. There you go.
I highly recommend that book. And again, Jesus in the Gospels that we have endorses Abraham being a real person, endorses Moses and the Exodus, and that Moses wrote the Torah. So if you're gonna buy that, that's not like, if he's the God of the universe, he's got some real problems.
I remember now what my last book was. Like, I've been doing the Stephen Fry, like, Greek ones. So Mythos and Heroes and Troy, and so the last one was the Odyssey by Stephen Fry.
So there's something interesting that I wanted to let y'all know about. When people are making this argument about how many texts have been found, they'll say, 1,500 texts of Jesus, all these different texts, as if this is giving more authenticity when they're later and later rewrites.
Several copies of Harry Potter, too.
Right. No, here's a way better one than that. Here's a way better one than that. So far, from the Iliad, we have 1,700 individual fragments that we have found that are attributed to be the book of Iliad. And they are so consistent with the older stories of the book of Iliad. It's like almost nothing was changed. And I think that this is proof that our what's his name? Achilles is definitely, they have
a real
the right
person
story.
now.
Yeah, right. And his mother was Athena, right? Like,
right.
Yeah, no shit.
100%.
And Odysseus's story reads more like a biography, right? The way that this reads out. So when people are like, well, but these texts are autobiographical of Jesus. Well, if you read the text not assuming in advance that Odysseus is a fictional character, they very much read like this is an autobiographical. We're following Odysseus.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody says Jesus wrote an autobiography, do they?
Right. No, not an autobiography, not a proper name. What do they call it? They call it it's a biography.
A bios. Yeah, the Greek genre is bios.
They call it
bios versus mythos.
Yeah, they call it like a Roman era bios or something. That they'll argue for it, and you could say it's something similar of Odysseus.
Has anybody read Dennis R. MacDonald's The Homeric Epics and the Gospel of Mark?
Nope.
Very good book, and it's like he's got all kinds of great parallels between the Homer stories.
But I remember somebody was doing a connection between that kind of biography and the Iliad and all that stuff, where they could have gotten a similar idea for the Gospels, and that's why the Gospel writers started writing. And there's tons of Gospels. You have to sift through a lot.
Achilles was not Athena's. No, Athena was not Achilles' mom. Achilles' mom was like a water nymph or something like that. Or she was
she's the one who dipped him in this river Styx.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Like Athena was
missed
like,
the spot.
like
Missed the spot.
yeah. But she was not his mom. His mom was a water nymph or something like that. She was trying to make him immortal, and I
Man,
mean,
so wrong.
like she was trying to make him immortal. So she dipped him in the river Styx.
Mother,
But then
that's
she was
completely
supposed to burn
understood.
him too. She was supposed to burn him in the fire and roast him with ambrosia, like rub him down with ambrosia.
Oh. So you're
roast him in the
saying that he
fire.
was baptized and then he was reborn in fire?
But his
Baptized in water. The fire part never happened.
The baptism of the water only and not of the fire, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what makes you
Exactly
immortal.
what
Yeah, I
happened.
see.
Holy damn!
His
I've come up with a whole
father
theology
walked
on
in
this.
on
This
her
is so-
trying
this
to
is
burn
good.
him. Like she had him
Good.
on the pit and was trying to roast him, and the father
Gives
walked
you my
in and
master's
caught
degree
him.
in theology again.
So going back to the Philippians hymn that we started
I
with,
know the
by the
Greek
way,
ones.
the final line that every knee shall bow at the name of Jesus. To me, again, that's like another example of if Christianity is true, it's universalist anyway. So I don't have to worry about it because, like, why are they bowing to Jesus if they're going to go to hell, right? So it pretty much means everybody gets saved.
It's that forced submission thing, you know.
If it's forced submission, it's like such a dick move.
It is a dick move. That's why it's a bad passage.
It's a dick religion.
Yeah, it really
Well,
That's how that works.
is.
1/8 of at least 1/8 of a dick at least.
I think Paul believed in epicatastasis or universal
my ex.
reconciliation.
Yeah, Paul was a universalist. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, I'm pretty
I
confident.
think so too. Yeah, like the if you take the pseudo Paul stuff away, yeah, you get a pretty universal.
Well, what was the one in Corinthians where he's talking about giving the man over to the devil so that he can be?
1 Corinthians 5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
5. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
he sees sin as needing purification and needing to be burnt out of you, but he doesn't see you as not eventually being saved. I mean, again, the Paul comparison between Christ and Adam literally uses everybody in both senses. Like in Adam, all have sinned, and in Christ, all will be redeemed.
Yep. Yeah, he's very universal in his view of salvation. The universalists don't get it from nothing. They run to Paul a lot. So.
Look, I was listening to something the other day, and I accidentally clicked onto two Christians talking about the Bible. And
I'm so sorry, Simos. Are you
no,
okay?
it's all right. No, I listened for a little bit, and after about like 15 minutes, I thought, as far as I'm concerned, they may as well be talking about like Lord of the Rings.
Correct.
Because they're literally just talking about the lore of the story. Then they're not talking about anything else. They're literally just going, well, of course, Beth Shemley did this at fucking this place, and that happened to that. And I'm like, so you're just trying to one-upmanship on each other about whether like the details behind the story, not even the story you're talking about now, right? You're actually just talking about the details and like, oh, well, of course, the elves, they came from such and such a place, And it's like, what a load of shite. I mean, the stories, it's just not as good as Lord of the Rings, right? I'd rather listen to someone telling me that fucking that ranger, Aragorn the Ranger, was like, his backstory. That's quite interesting, I guess. I mean, or the fucking talking horses or whatever.
You never get enough backstory on the Ents. Those are awesome.
Yeah,
well,
the Ents are awesome too. Yeah.
You talking about one-upping somebody? I think for what is it? The Gospel of Peter just goes for broke whenever it says
he's worried about getting fat.
He come out as a right. He's not concerned with it at all. He comes out and he's like Jesus's head goes into the clouds. The cross comes out behind him.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so he went for
it's
broke.
A sequel trying to do they're doing a sequel and they had to outdo the original,
Sure.
Because John wasn't over the top enough. We got
over
the
top. John's just crazy. Right?
Got to add more special effects and all that shit. Like we got to put all that in.
Sure. Where did
it's the Busby Berkeley version of the Gospels?
Yeah.
Where did the gentleman come from that carried Jesus, the giant?
Christopher.
Yeah, Christopher. What's this text come from? He's carries the body
of
Christ.
Third century, but like I don't even. His name literally means carrying Christ, so I feel like that's like a dead giveaway of where it comes from.
Yeah, right. Okay.
We've made up
that
a
reminds me.
character to fill this role, and we're going to
Like if they had a character in Star Wars known as Vader Killer, I think like you would just go, "Oh, I wonder what he's going to do."
He killed Vader.
That reminds me, of course, that the original name of Life of Brian. Do you guys know what that was?
No.
Well, they were originally going to call it Jesus, the Lust for Glory.
Oh,
wow.
That would have been a hell of a title, but I like Life of Brian better. But.
Yeah, well, they
too
decided
much,
it was a little too much. Yeah, so they changed it and changed the script to be about Brian. Lust for Glory.
Yes.
I always thought that was quite like.
That's hilarious.
That's like Achilles, right?
There you
Yeah,
go.
very much, very much. Oh my goodness. Oh, the mythology.
But really, that's Jesus's whole story, right? Is he wants the story of his life like told to everybody. Like everybody needs to hear it, and if they believe
That's
it,
the Great
they'll be
Commission,
saved,
right?
Right, exactly.
But can't be bothered to do script writing himself. Like he just stands, fuck that shit.
But
Somebody else
that's
can
how
write
good
the
Monty
shit.
Python are. I mean, if you really go in depth to that film, you will find a lot of like.
Oh,
theology.
I have.
Yeah,
It's
Terry
great
Jones
stuff.
read Josephus, the Jewish War, extensively to like research how to write the script, and he used a lot of that material. You can see a lot of the infighting that happens right before the Flavians show up happening in Life of Brian.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also like there's another quote I really like in it where Jesus has cured the leper, and the leper is sitting there amongst the cured leper is sitting there amongst other lepers, right? And he's still begging because that's his only way of making money. And so he's going, oh, you know, penny for an ex-leper, penny for an ex-leper, as he's sitting down. And you hear this like this arse, right, go by, like a guy leading an arse by with loaded up goods and stuff, and you hear the donkey or whatever go by and go like this, and he goes, penny for an ex-leper, and the arse guy, the guy just walks straight past without looking. And he goes, oh, bloody arse, you know, bloody donkey. You know, bloody people that own donkeys. They fucking sew up themselves. They're just fucking class mentality, you know. Fuck them.
These rich assholes with donkeys.
Yeah.
Oh my god. There's a lot in that movie. There's a lot.
Yeah, it just goes by so quick as well, like, you know.
Yeah, you have to slow it down and stop it. So
Hey, I wanted to let y'all know about this debate game that Willow has. That Willow's going to be on next Sunday. I'm sorry, he's going to be on. We're going to be talking about uncertainty and whatnot. But Willow does this game that if y'all are interested in any kind of debates at all, where you do a quick debate. Simos came in. You debated me on something. I can't remember what the subject was.
I can.
What was it?
Unspeakable. These are all not safe for work topics, though.
Okay.
Let me just say that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was something to do messing with man on man love.
Oh, okay, okay, that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Should be punishable by death.
Yes, right. So then you have to take one of these positions.
You get given
to you.
You don't have to take one. You get given one.
Well, if you don't pick one with a consensus, is how he used to do it. But then it would just be forced on you that's the position you have to argue. And you still man this position, and it's really is a fun game. It really is. I enjoyed it, but that's the link for it if y'all want to check it out for his Discord channel. He does on Saturdays.
Yeah, it was really good fun. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I only had the one debate with Robert, and but it was.
I went 3 for 3 yesterday, man. 3 for 3. Won all three of them.
Nice.
Oh,
sounds like a fun game that with with lack of consent. You say it gets forced on you.
Yeah, but to be honest, that's how like in when I was at school, that's how we did debates. The teacher would literally just go, right, let's pick 2 of you to debate each other, and here's the topic you're going for, you're going against, and then you just sit and debate it.
Yeah.
Robert did well in our game with her. Today we had a trivia game we all played in. Robert did pretty well too in that.
Yeah, BS beat me by a point or something. Interesting stuff. All right. Anybody?
Sad.
We're about to be wrapping up. Links. Y'all got links for your channels. Ed's from the Rabbit Atheist. If we get a link, we'll put it up there. Y'all check Ed out from the Rabbit Atheist. Simos, I think, is still nipping on the heels of that 500. Or did
I
you
am.
get over the hill?
Let me just have a look. 493. Oh,
Well, it would help if you actually produce a video rather than just coming on everybody else's channel trying to get that push. So
yeah, like
Yeah.
I am. I've got one
Okay.
tomorrow night. I'm doing a video tomorrow night live.
Yeah.
I'm doing a live tomorrow night. So let me just put in private chat my link so you can paste
Sure.
it
And
everywhere.
I think you're yep, that'll work too. I think you're okay. Now we're getting them flowing in here. There we go. But y'all check these folks out. There's some really good people to listen to. Let's see. This one's
So yeah, 9 o'clock UK time, proper world time, I call it.
proper world time.
Yeah, empirical time. And yeah, 9 o'clock. It's on the Miami Grand Prix, which was a killer of a race.
Yeah.
Really good race. And so yeah, please, if you're interested in jokes and motor cars and racing or Miami.
After that race, all the Amalekites were dead.
Do you have a thumbnail up, Simon, so we can?
I don't know. I don't do one of those until tomorrow.
That's the only time I can ever get my times right is when you put up a thumbnail, so I can like.
Oh, okay.
Because it's time zone specific. Whatever your time zone is, it'll line it up. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I do them in advance.
Yeah, I think it's like 5 hours to the east, so Eastern time. So it'll be 4 o'clock Eastern time, I think, something around there. But just come by, drop a link if you miss it. Just put a comment in chat, all of that good stuff. Don't worry about it too much. We don't expect people to actually sit and endure it. So because it's.
I just get to say hi to Fabio.
Yeah, well, say ciao. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So if we're going to do last words, let's pass it around. Ed?
I don't know. I came in because of the historicity question, because it's something that comes off of, but no, I'm heading a lot of different directions. I enjoy what I do. They're always welcome to stop by 5 days a week, 7 p.m. and chat with me, and we have a good time. So, it's some other things are happening too. So we'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, always enjoy talking to you folks. So
yeah, me too. Thanks, Ed, for stopping in. You're a machine. 5 days a week, man. You're a machine. Can't do it. But we appreciate you.
Yeah,
Simos?
I'm single.
Oh, okay. Well, I just read this Zappa quote that I put in the private chat, which comes from Dumb All Over, one of his tracks. And it says, you can't run a country by a book of religion, not by a heap, a lump, or a smidgen of foolish rules of ancient date designed to make you all feel great while you fold, spindle, and mutilate those unbelievers from a neighboring state.
Fantastic. That's a great quote.
Outstanding.
All right, Robin, last words?
Yeah, Christianity has been very harmful, but it is very close to costing us our democracy. If you live in the United States, it's a threat to your freedom.
Yeah. All right, Kurt?
I finished up a series on my Substack of how the practice of medicine disproves precept. So you can read that whole series now. And I'm in the middle of a series on how Tavo Sanrabi's arguments for convergent theological framework are just not working for me. So you can read those as they get posted.
Good. Fantastic. All right. With that said, I thank everybody for joining. I thank the panelists and the guests. We'll have another show next Sunday. Willow is fixing to be on next Sunday. That should be a good talk. We're going to be talking about uncertainty and, how we live a life of not knowing things definitively, and that's okay. So until then, I appreciate y'all for joining.
Robert,
yes, sir. Go ahead.
Are you sure he's going to be on next Sunday?
Yep.
Okay, there's no uncertainty there then.
Oh, okay. All right. Hilarious.
Hilarious.
Hilarious. Until then, thank you, and remember.